My memory is good but short, as they say. So how are you
Right.
doing now? What do you do? What are you doing these days? What are you looking at? What are you doing?
Right. So I'm writing some few policy papers with some government institutions, and I'm also more into getting people understand what we call skill development. So I'm organizing some huge skill development summit in Ghana, but I'm currently writing some few policy documents and reports.
Wow. Well, I want to thank you for your openness and your patience as we figure this out, because as you no doubt have realized, this is a work in progress. And I've
Yeah.
been, making these tweaks here and there and changes, and just as I understand the situation, right? It's a development process, right? So thank you for your patience
Yeah.
and openness. And this particular piece, I think, could be very, very interesting, and for other people,
Yeah.
So let's give it a try. Let's see how this goes. Okay.
Right.
Do you want to like, we haven't talked much. Do you want to say or ask anything right now, or
Yeah. So my question is, the other artifacts we did, is it gonna be redundant, or is just what you're about doing is a continuation of the other artifact?
Okay, what I'm thinking right now might be a good way to go is that this conversation, as we go through that template, because really the template is very new, like it's not official. It's only something that I dreamt up, right? So it's a little bit, I've gone and asked people, what do you think of this? But it's not official. So it's a little bit, cheeky, let's say, what I've done.
Right.
But it
Yeah.
seemed like a good opportunity to get some data. Is that useful for people? Because there is no thing like that in Catalyst now.
At
So
all.
what I thought, as far as your artifacts, so that you can finish the process and that everyone can get paid, is if you could possibly do an artifact about this conversation,
Right.
does that, and that's my idea. And maybe at the end of the conversation, we can see if that's going to make sense for you to do that. Like, what did you learn about this as we go through this? But if
Okay.
this in itself is going to be very valuable, and I don't want to ask too much of you. You've been doing your thing, and I want to keep it fair and so on. And also, we want some closure. So it would be nice to kind of clean up the whole thing for everybody by the end of August, as we said. So you're on track. So okay, so that's good.
Right. That's interesting. And I also looked at the document you sent, the Google Doc, and the one you sent recently. I mean, just this morning.
Yeah, you're in there now, I think.
I mean, it looks quite very impressive. It looks like the assessment we are all doing is quite not on track. I mean, like, it's not detailed assessment that we are all carrying out there in Catalyst. Looking at what you have drafted and sent, if we really want to have a detailed assessment and assess for reasons that we want to build an ecosystem and a community of like-minded for Catalyst, then it looks like we need to adopt not even a fraction of what you sent. It looks like a whole document needs to be adopted so that we can then have time and assess, because it looks like we are all assessing for money. We are assessing like how fast you assess, but not how detailed you assess. Yeah. So I've read through and it looks, I mean, quite superb, and we have to push this. Myself, I'm really impressed with what you've sent. I was just thinking about it, and I was driving when you sent, and I parked and I looked at it and I said, wow, this is good. So maybe we can look at it, especially the one Jesse also did also looks good as well.
Well, yes. Thank you for saying that. I think it's true. I think it's kind of a template that you could apply to any project, even a huge
Mm,
project, like
mm.
building a rocket ship and going to the moon, you know, even that, you could still sort of put it in that box.
Exactly,
And I
exactly.
would agree that it's actually sort of overbuilt for most things.
Mm,
It's too
yeah.
much. Yes, I would agree with that. That's why I have some of the bolded ones. So at least there's, if you,
Yeah.
it seems any assessment should at least touch on those. And you know what I've noticed, and I experienced this myself, is that you who are new, there's in this project there were 3 people that have quite a lot of experience and 4 people with no experience in Catalyst. So that was,
Oh,
so yeah, you, Jesse, and Kurt and Malik all have no experience with Catalyst. And then the other 3, Kevin, Jeremy, and Dave, do have experience. So it was quite interesting to see the different, you know, the different approaches. And unfortunately, you know, the money situation distorts this whole process very much in practice.
Mm,
In a way,
mm.
what you see there is like theoretically how we should be doing these proposals. But in
Yeah.
fact, people are gaming the system. The VPAs have, since Fund 5, there was a, you know, they changed the incentive for the VPA, who are the ones who supervise the CA, the PA.
Mm.
And unfortunately, that has become like, I don't want to use the word corrupt, but it is distorted, let's say.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and so that's unfortunate, but this process actually shines a lot of light on the whole thing. So we'll see, maybe over
Mm.
time, this educational approach will shift it. We
Yeah.
don't know, really. So just saying. But anyway, it is what it is, right? It's still a very
Right.
amazing environment and where people
Yeah, yeah.
can try things, right?
Mm.
So I'm going to share that document and
Okay.
let's take a look at it because yeah, it's a new thing. If I move this screen, I think you can still see it. If I just moved it, you can still see it though, right?
Yeah, yeah, I can still see the screen, your shared screen.
You're seeing this blue box here.
Written as share. I can see budget.
Like for example, criteria. Are you seeing criteria 2?
No, I can't see criteria. I can only see budget.
This one? Let me
Yeah,
let me
what I
share.
can see is
Let me
budget.
share. I'm just gonna share it again. So we got, because I moved the screen. Maybe that changed something.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you're seeing,
Yeah, criteria.
yeah, criteria 2, guiding questions and so on.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can see that now.
so this is a slightly different version from the. It's a slightly different version of this matrix, right? But it's the
Mm.
same. It's the same idea. So you understood that you could put these ones. These are like project specific. Like every project is going to have a budget. Every project is going to have deliverables. Every project is going to have a team
Yeah, definitely.
and some time
Yeah,
frame. And in
people,
Catalyst,
yeah.
there are going to be challenge KPIs. And actually, in it all kind of situations, there may be other criteria, right? And then on this side, you have the more general ones. And then, so the matrix, you're taking the, you know, putting these two, like the deliverables, and then are they explained, right? And then people, is that feasible, right?
Yeah.
So that's the concept. So then each of these
Okay.
questions, this one I think was an earlier version, but it does have these questions. So for example, the budget and then auditable. That's this square here, right? The first question. And then, you know, what does that mean about the money? Can you count the money? So
Yeah.
do they give us a way to show how they're spending the money? And what does that mean? Well, you're going to see the balance. Are you going to see payments?
Yeah.
Are you going to see invoices? Are there going to be some records, right?
Invoices, yeah.
And by the way, in Catalyst, I think the answer is no, because it's not required, right? You just
Yeah,
get the money, and the actual
yeah,
auditability is very weak in Catalyst. It's quite funny, like you send in these reports, but nobody ever checks anything.
yeah.
Anyway. And then BE, budget understandable. So in other words, if someone has explained the budget, right? Not just the number, but explaining it.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What costs how much? Like, you're saying you need this and that. Well, how much does that cost? How much does this and that cost, right? Is that explained? That's this one, right?
Yeah.
Feasible,
Get it.
right? Is it adequate? Is that enough money? Like feasible,
Yeah, feasible.
can you do it or not? Is that going to work? Is what feasible means, right? Is it possible?
Yeah.
So with that amount of money that you're saying, can you do that amount of work? Is that enough money to do the work? That's that question, right? And including over the time frame that you need to have the money. Maybe that for 1 week it would be enough money, but not enough for 1 month, right?
Yeah.
And then on impactful, is it impactful? Like, is that a good use of money? Is that going to make a difference in my world if I get this done for that amount of money? If I spend $100 for you to do something for me, okay, and is that worth it for me? Is that going to change my life in a good way? That's the idea here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to continue going through these. Okay, is this helpful? Is this a review, right? A summary, right?
Yeah.
And since we're recording it, I'd like to just do this and walk through all of these, okay? And then we'll go for some examples, okay?
Okay. Right.
So the deliverables is what you're going to hand over at the end of the project, right? So auditable. Auditable means there's a record. You can see some physical record. So on the deliverables, that would mean, are they auditable? Can you be sure of delivery? Like that's a bit, it's not going to apply in every situation, but let's say we have a contract where you are going to be delivering bread to my restaurant every week, right? Let's say. Are we going to be counting those loaves of bread? How does that work? Who's going to do the counting? That's kind of the idea here. Okay. Are the deliverables explained? And that is, how does it work? What does it do? The thing that you're going to make for me or the thing that you're going to do for me? How does that actually work? Or what are you actually making for me, or what are you actually doing? The explaining. Because and you'll see in these proposals, they'll say, oh, we're going to make this software and it's going to do this and that. Well, how does that work? Like what are some of the details, right? Deliverables, are they feasible? In other words, is it possible, right? So will that work? The thing that you're telling me you're going to do, is that even possible? Okay. And then is it impactful? Even if you do it, is that going to make a difference in my life? Is there going to be an impact? Okay. Yeah, we don't usually ask those questions. Okay, any questions about that one? Questions or comments?
Yeah, so all right, so go up. It's okay. Let me see this. I saw a question I wanted to ask about. Hold on. Is the budget adequate? Right. So is the budget adequate over what time frame? Now, is it related to the total budget or per the monthly disbursement of the budget from Catalyst?
Well, good question. And yeah, right. It could be either one or both, right?
Okay.
And when you look at what Catalyst asks for, it's not very specific, right? But you're on the right track. It could be
Okay.
either, it depends what makes sense. You know, either one could make sense. Like I got funding to do this, to make the tasks page, basically the curriculum. I got funding for that, but it was really only for 1 month. So I got, my budget was just saying, I'm just going to do this one thing. So in that case, to just give one number was adequate because it was, I'm basically doing one thing. But if you were doing, you know, a bigger project with many more steps, then they would want to see more divisions of the budget, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's exactly the right kind of question.
Yeah, right.
So people like the team, so auditable. Okay. Now, this is a funny one. I don't know if you've worked on any projects, but I've worked on a lot of projects and I've seen this. The people, you know, you say you have your people. So we're looking at people and auditable, the records about who is going to be on the team. You know, you say you have these people on your team, but 2 months from now, are they still going to be on your team? You know, how do we know that that person is still going to be around on the team? This one is kind of like, maybe it doesn't apply as easily, right? I'll go to the next one.
Yeah, to some extent.
Okay, next one, explained. The people and explained. So the question for that, what competencies do you need on that team? Like who is doing what? What needs to get done? And who can do what job on the project, right? And to explain that this person is going to be doing this person is going to be doing that, right? And they're competent to do that. Okay, the people and the feasible, it's possible. Are those people really ready, willing, and able to do the work, right? Because as we know, people say, oh, I will do that, but then actually doing it is a different thing, right? For many reasons, right? Life happens or whatever, right? Many reasons why people don't come through, but it's a big factor, right? Especially in this environment. And this question for the feasibility, who's managing the project? That's with these development projects, often nobody talks about who's actually project managing, who is pulling the pieces together, like, you know, who's checking in with all the people. Did you do your part? Did she do her part? You know, are we all on track? And with developers, maybe everybody's enthusiastic and I want to do my thing. I'm happy to do my thing, but nobody is organizing, right? So that's the thing with the feasibility. And then the impact for people, this one is kind of more abstract really, but this is the people who are going to be using the product or the service. And is it clear that this is going to help those people, like the end users? What do they need? So that's this one. So you see that, yeah, this, so to do all of this is really maybe idealistic, but anyway, as far as the concept goes, like this would be good if people had an idea that in the background. Okay, you still with me?
Right.
And we'll go to
I'm with you. I'm here.
Good man.
So I have a question. I have a question on the people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So on the people and impact. So are the users needs explained? So here, can we also adapt to target group? Are they able to identify the right target group for this project? And have those identified the needs? Like you are saying, are the users' needs explained? Yes. So let's assume you've done that. What about identify the target group? Because identify the target group before you identify their needs.
Yeah, right. Yes.
So I see that if that can also be added, that identify the target group while you're connecting this project, the target group.
Yeah.
Once you're able to identify the target group, you then know their needs.
Yes. Yeah, very good, very good. Exactly. Perfect question. Yeah, exactly. Same idea, exactly.
Mm.
And yeah,
Right. I'm
has
done.
someone thought about that? Has someone analyzed that, right? Like, who is it for, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to build, that's fun to build stuff, but then who's going to use it, right?
Right.
Yes, so you're
Right.
right on track. Good. Okay, let's go on. Talking
Mm.
about time,
Mm.
auditable, who's timekeeping? And that's kind of the project management thing again, right?
Yeah.
Explained. Is it
Okay.
explained? What you're saying you'll do this and it'll take 1 week? Why will it take 1 week? Why will it not take 2 weeks? Why will it not take
Mm.
3 days?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Feasible.
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Mm-hmm.
do that thing in that amount of time? Is that even possible to do that in that amount of time? And then impact.
Um,
You know what I wanted to say about impact here, this one, just going back to your question. Kind of what you're talking about is that going to make a difference for that group
mm.
of people 2 years from now, right? That's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Is it going to
Yeah.
have an
Yeah.
impact on
Yeah.
the people that are going to be using it, a positive impact, right?
Mm.
That's kind of the gist of this question.
Exactly. So good. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then similarly here, maybe it will have an impact, but when? How long will that impact take? Like this project, for example,
Mm.
you know, like the bounty sponsor, Kenrick, wants to see some impact on uh, Catalyst
Mm.
PA process,
Okay.
and that's why they're
Yeah.
paying the bounties. But that impact is not going to happen today or tomorrow or next week. It might take months or
Yeah.
even a couple of years before this project has impact, right? Because it's
Yeah.
educational. It doesn't, it takes time, right? And
Mm.
and it's not that it has to be fast, but just to say, what is the vision, right? So people understand
Yeah.
what. Because some of these projects, often what I see with these Catalyst projects is you got a developer and they want to do something, but they haven't really got the real world thing going. So
Mm.
it's not
Mm.
clear who's going to use it, how they're going to use it, what's going to happen when they use it, right? That part.
Yeah.
Okay. Then for in Catalyst in particular,
Wow.
there are these challenge KPIs,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
I've tried to put these in as well. So are they auditable? Will there be some evidence? Is it explained how they will further the
Mm-hmm.
goals? Is it feasible that they will further the goals? And how will the goals be impacted? So kind of the same
Mm.
question. And
Yeah.
actually, when you look at the documentation from Catalyst, it's not exactly consistent on this
Mm.
point. And it's very interesting to see that all
Yeah.
of you in this project focused in on how can I make money as a PA. That's, of course, everybody wants to know. That's why you're here, right? That's why I came to. I want to
Yeah.
make money. And how do I do that? And if you look at Jeremy's, that whole
Mm.
half-hour long thing, he analyzed the guide and he analyzes very clearly and he shows it's not clear in the guide itself. It's not clear. So that's a challenge for everybody. It's a problem,
Mm.
honestly. And there are a lot of
Mm.
people in Catalyst who are not happy about it. A lot of the PAs are unhappy because people have been gaming the system, and
Yeah.
it's not fair. So unfortunately, so we're not here to cheerlead for Catalyst. We're only here to talk about our experience. And I'm not
Mm.
also interested in attacking anybody and saying, oh, those
Oh.
bad people. I may think
Yeah.
that, but that's not really my role. My role, it seems to me, is if we're educating people and people understand more and more people understand more and more of the issues, that will change it over time. That's my approach.
Exactly.
So you may be thinking you don't quite understand this very well. And if you're thinking that, well, you're not alone.
Mhm.
Okay, and Jeremy sort of
Mm.
gives reasons why you don't understand it because it's not clear in the document. That's why you don't understand it. Oh, maybe you haven't looked
Yeah.
at it, but maybe if you have looked at it, it's not clear. Just okay, that's important for new people because it's
Right.
overwhelming, right? And then you realize, oh,
Mm.
it's not overwhelming. It's
Mm.
also not clear. And then Gestalt, this word Gestalt means like the big picture, the whole thing together. It's a
Okay.
German word from psychology. It means like
Mm.
the big picture. So overall, what impressions, feelings, opinions do you get from this proposal overall? And then
Okay.
overall, what evidence are they presenting? Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so now you've been studying up on this, and it's not even official. It might not even get adopted. But I don't know what you think, Peter, but I think, when you look at planet Earth, like I grew up in Canada, I went to school in Canada,
Mm.
and I have degrees here, Canadian universities, but I never learned this. Nobody ever taught me this. I never learned this in
Oh,
school, how to think about a proposal. This is basic logic
yeah.
about a proposal, right? But none of
Mhm.
us
Yeah.
learned how to do this. I'm sure you never learned this in school either. I know I didn't, right?
No, I didn't too.
So I'm very interested in like the basic education sort of thing, that if this
Mm.
could be part of a credential for anybody to learn about any proposal in their life, that this could be really useful for people of all walks of life across the whole world to learn this.
Yeah,
I think. I don't know if you agree with that.
I do agree. I do really agree.
Great. So that's I'm kind of hoping that this could be, because there's different levels of education too, right? There's a lot of people
Yeah,
that,
yeah. Mm.
maybe they have a basic education, they can read and understand the words, but the concepts would be very new, right? But the concepts are
Yeah.
from our life. So I've come up with these examples, and I don't know if they're like culturally make sense to your
Mm.
perspective. And I was trying to
Yeah, I
ask,
did. I did. Mm. I
so
did read. Some of them are about 2 years. I mean, some of them are culturally related. Um, because it's where the example one on the vacation offer is culturally related. The sandwich to some extent is not culturally related in Africa. The example three, can I have a look at it? I think I also read that one. Is also not culturally related.
yeah, and the reason I'm interested in something that's not Cardano related is to establish the concept that this applies to any proposal,
Right.
right?
Mm,
So that
mm.
first you have a concept of evaluating a proposal in your life, because we get
I get it.
proposals constantly, really. Like every time there's
Yeah.
advertising, that's actually a proposal, right?
Mm,
They're saying, I'll do this for you. You buy my product, you buy my pen, and
yeah.
your life is going to be much better if you buy this pen from me.
Yeah.
That's a proposal.
Yeah.
So that's the of oh, the meeting is ending in 10 minutes. You know what? I would like to close the meeting. I'll send you, and then we'll come right back in. Okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
So
Mm.
we're at the half-hour time. So let's just go out and come right back in on the same link. And if that doesn't work, I'll
Okay.
see you back in
Uh,
Discord. Okay.
Okay then. Okay then. Mm.